like to start with a massive number, and 125 billion euros, and these are quite a few zeros, I guess. And this is not just a huge number. This is the unmapped gross value added due to circular economy alone in Germany by 2045. And this is not just a budget, or this is not just a utopian idea for 2080 or something, but this is the unlocked economic value that we can create due to circular economy. And this is something that we have to lever. And in this case, we are here now for celebrating the future, but I want to speak very honestly with you because we know the linear economy, how we see it right now, for them, the party should be over. Because everything from this take, make, waste procedure that we know relies on two very luxury assumptions. The first one is cheap energy. And the second one is limitless access to raw materials. And both of these assumptions are dead. Because we know that the cards of the global economy are reshuffled right now. Because we see geopolitical tensions regards of supply chains. We see resource scarcity is coming volatile. We see furthermore coming from Brussels more and more regulatories regarding CSRD, the packaging and the packaging waste regulation. These are not just clouds ahead, it's already here, and we have to face that. And we need to find a new perspective on the waste, what waste really is, because this should be seen as a resource depot for the future. And how do we build economy and society in the future? And we can really build that with resilience thanks to circular economy. And in this case, circular economy, if you just look into that topic, you do not have to look into sustainability brochures, you have to look into your procurement ledgers, because there you really see the potential, and there you really see that due to circular economy, price volatility really gets down. And even a couple of kilometers ago in Brussels, this has already been arriving, because Ursula von der Leyen, from the European Commission, already stated that circular economy helps us to reduce our strategic dependencies and keep or maintain our competitiveness. And then we are not just talking about sustainability, we are talking about the ability to sustain thanks to stable supply chains. We are talking about the access to raw materials. We are talking about data that we need to prove that we help to decarbonize, or data that we need to prove that we fulfill regulatories. And energy supply, for sure, is a key factor in regards of competitiveness and a stable industry. And this is actually where we as PreZero come into play, because we see ourselves as a transformer to bring these political visions into the real world. And in this case, we help to bring our knowledge and our operative idea, because you can't create circular infrastructure just on the whiteboard, because you have to know how that really works in the real world. And this is what we do. We do not just advise, we operate. And we operate in 10 countries. We operate with the help of almost 30,000 employees. And we manage more than 15 millions of metric millions of recycled material every year. And the good thing is that everything that we create is a blueprint coming from our own ecosystem, because this is not just an experiment, because as we are part of the Schwarz Group with Lidl and Kaufland, everything that we create, every product, every solution, every circular idea really helps us to find a better understanding of how this really works. Because everything has to stress test into our system, because everything that we do it first for the ecosystem. And due to that fact, we power a real, one of the biggest retail and production companies in the world. And this really shows how we go further with partnerships. And just looking at partnerships, the best infrastructure means nothing if no one is using it. So if you just look into the partnership that we have with the BMW Group, we help the automotive industry, and they are suffering a lot. I think we know that. We help them to maintain for the future and to keep their competitiveness due to the fact that we see an old car as a resource depot for the future, that we can just dismantle it and take the materials out of it. And these kind of partnerships are really essential for us. And we bring that not just into the factories, we take that out of the factories and bring that in the huge arenas. And just knowing that a UEFA Champions League final or a festival like this, these are not just events. They are temporary mega cities. And in this case, this is a real stress test for circular logistics, because there's a huge amount of things that you have to be aware of. And this is why we take the football, the professional football, as a blueprint and work together with the UEFA to create a real circular and data-driven infrastructure for the European football industry. And now I would like to hand over to Filippo, the true driver of transformation.
Thank you, Markus. Good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here. I'm coming from Switzerland and also here with a colleague, Evelyn Holderbach, to discuss with you and share with you how we look at it from the football industry side, really top line, but then also happy to take a few questions on the panel after the presentation also of Love Tomorrow. What is UEFA? First and foremost, the governing body of European football, regrouping across the pyramid. Yes, the top, the professional level, that's where really we are working together with PreZero and Lidl, but it also regroups, and you can see here several figures, the breadth and the depth of the sport. So we talk often about football as an incredible platform for societal reach, but also to be able to drive both social and environmental impact, and therefore also the concept of value creation, of value preservation is something very much at the heart of what we do. When we talk about the concept of sustainability in football, we talk about both the social and the environmental component. Today we're focused a lot on the environmental component with the circular agenda, though that also has significant social implications at the level of jobs. We talk about characteristics that also come into play on the pitch. Now, we have all seen the recent tournaments, the recent finals. We talk about anticipation and adaptation to what are expectations about how a sport could and should be run. We talk about how can we drive more and better value through the sport alongside the values and the mission of the organization as a governing body. We also talk about investment. So in the case of sustainability, too often only placed as a cost. We really try to position it in a long-term plan around the investment mindset. And as Markus underlined already, the spirit of innovation and the spirit of partnership is very much something that we are driving through. Why? Because in all frankness, the sport needs to accelerate. We know that we have been too reactive in the sport. We have been more led by crisis and reaction rather than by a proactive and sort of strategic long-term investment. So earlier on in this decade, in 2021, we said we need to look long-term, but we need to be very precise and concrete and strategic about what we do. And this is what we set out in the strategy that is publicly available. We call it Strength Through Unity, because we really believe across the 55 member associations, including, of course, the RBFA here in Belgium, but the 54 others, it's really the value of partnership that is going to drive the future of football, and perhaps not only the future, but already very much the present. As part of that, an essential component, and without presenting you the strategy, don't worry, the component around circular economy. One of the three components when we talk about environmental impact, where we really think there is an integral role for football to drive this agenda throughout the football platform, as I mentioned before, but also throughout new forms of partnerships, including with a company such as PreZero to drive it. Some of you, for those who watch football, you may have seen the boards around the pitches at UEFA matches that call for reducing, reusing, recycling, and recovering materials. This is one way in which we advertise, let's say, the message. But at the practical and operational level, it's really about embedding this concept in the operations, which for us is very much the events, which includes, of course, as Marcus alluded, also the procurement end, but also it is about working together with the member federations, with the leagues, and all of the professional clubs throughout Europe to really drive that mindset of efficiency and that mindset of cost saving. If you think of circular economy in football, we talk really about four specific aspects. We talk about, for anyone who has been to a large event, that can also be a festival like this one here today, you will have food and beverage offers, but you also have challenges from an organizer point of view. What are the offers in terms of quality, but what are also the circular economy implications there? When you talk about a sport like football, you talk also about football equipment, football apparel. That's very much the reality of waste, of production, and also waste minimization that needs to go into it. We talk also about event materials. For anyone who is in a stadium or on a stage, you see event-related materials. That can be signage, that can be posters, that can be many other elements. And obviously also in football, you rely on energy systems and you rely on water provision to be able to play and to be able to operate the events no matter what size. The collaboration with PreZero, and we'll come back to it also in the Q&A, is very much aimed to move beyond the projects, to really move into an element of solutions orientation. So what are the specifics of the football industry where we can team up with the expertise of a dedicated partner to really drive that, not only the mindset, but really the aspects of operationalization. Alongside with it comes the component of training. We have had already a number of sessions where we expose football organizations to this new reality. Certainly within Europe, the expectation is that also football has to play its part. Football cannot solve all the problems, but football also as a large event organizer needs to play its part. And last but not least, an important component around measuring performance. This is not about a slogan or about an element of just doing a one-off and leaving. This is a 5-year investment that we're making jointly, which really wants to improve and drive better performance through, among other things, data-driven processes. So what are the indicators of performance and how can we drive a continuous raising the bar effort in that regard? We believe we are united also here together for circularity at these large events. It's important for us to continue the dialogue also with event organizers in other sectors, in other sports, in the entertainment industry. Certainly something that I think we share common challenges and we can also inspire and learn from each other along the way. So with that said, the short intro is done and I'm handing it back to the moderator, leaving the information here. The moderator, yes, she's here. There we go. I was on time. I had the clock here. All right. Thank you.
Perfect. Right on time. 19 seconds left.
90 seconds left. Okay.
All right. And to complete our panel, we're inviting a last speaker to this stage, someone who is helping one of the world's biggest festivals, Tomorrowland, to reduce its environmental footprint while also keeping the experience extraordinary for millions of fans. Please give a warm welcome for the project lead sustainability, the one and only Debbie van Dyck from Tomorrowland.
So thank you for this nice introduction. So before I dive deeper into the presentation, I have a question for you. Do you still remember your first festival? You can just raise your hand, no worries, I'm not going to ask any details. It can also be partly that you remember it. Great. So we have some experience of festival visitors here. So actually, I was also reflecting on myself on what was my first festival experience. How else could it be? Tomorrowland 2012. So back then, I was 18, 90 years old, living my best life. I'm still living my best life, no worries. In front, in front of the main stage of Book of Wisdom. And actually, it was also a big moment in terms of the history of Tomorrowland, because back then, Tomorrowland really became big. It was because of the after movie that we published in YouTube. Of course, I was not working back then, but it became big. And for me, if you would have asked me the question back then, are you going to become the sustainability lead of Tomorrowland? I would definitely not say yes. Because back then I was studying international relations, diplomacy. After that, I worked at the Port of Antwerp, so actually no experience at all at sustainability in the event sector. However, I think something triggered me already, because it was also the first time that I did lots of campings that time at the Belgian festivals and international festivals. And it was really an apocalypse. On Monday, when we left Dreamville, the camping site, and it's really a picture from 2012 back then. I need to be honest, I didn't take the picture myself, but I found it fun. The guy is having fun, but there's also a lot of waste behind him, a lot of party tents, all these kind of things. I'm not going to say that we solved it already, but back then it was also a very important moment for Love Tomorrow, because of course sustainability, it's organized by Love Tomorrow at Tomorrowland. So in 2013, Love Tomorrow was born. And actually the start was really from, okay, we won several awards of being the best festival of the world, so yeah, you got recognized, but what makes you the best festival in the world? It's also by living in harmony and peace with your neighbors. It's also by having a clean festival, of course, because it's also part of the experience, and also using your influence, to influence the visitors, to create awareness and becoming more sustainable. Back then, it was really something new, because sustainability, it was absolutely not a thing, especially not at festivals and events. So it's quite surprising that they already started with it. So, and then of course, today I have the advantage that you are here at the festival grounds of Tomorrowland, so you can already experience it a little bit and see. But Tomorrowland Belgium, it really exploded. So actually we sell out now in 2 minutes. We gather 450,000 visitors, or spread over 2 weekends, 194 nationalities, which is a lot. And actually what's also very important that I always like to mention is we are a temporary city. It has a challenge. For example, we are 90 days here, build-up and breakdown included, 2 festival weekends really present, a full-blown experience. So yeah, of course, in terms of sustainability, it's challenging, and also in terms of investment, for example, about sustainability solutions, our return of investment, it's like the 2 festival weekends or the 90 days that we are here, and lots of solutions are made for fixed and permanent things. However, it gives us also a lot of opportunities to function, for example, as an innovation lab, together with startups, with partners, as we are here together to test new things, to see, okay, how do people react on things that we implement, because we have lots of nationalities, challenging in terms of sustainability, but we can really see a shift from, okay, how do they react and how can we improve? But we are not only the Belgian festival, so we really want to become the Disney for adults. At some way, we can say that we are already there, but there's a lot of opportunity. For example, we recently launched our high-level fashion brand, Boloria. We have artist labels, we will launch Pool Club, all these kind of things. So it's not only a Belgian festival, Brazil, Thailand, Alpe d'Huez, it's a lot. So if you would ask me the question, can you prevent a permanent impact in terms of environmental impact or sustainability? No. It's never going to be zero. We need to be honest about it. It's also creating a big social impact. We bring together a lot of peoples, but of course it can't be an excuse of not reducing the footprint or the waste or thinking new terms about it. So a number that I'd like to show you, it's a carbon footprint of Tomorrowland Belgium. So you can see 31K tons, so it's almost the equivalent of 16K flights to the US and back. In 25, we managed to lower it already. It's because of initiatives of, for example, integrating sustainable aviation fuel, using more and more the grid system. For example, this zone, it's all on fixed grid system. We don't use generators. At the main stage, we have big plans, and we are in the final decision to make it possible to only use renewable energy. So yes, we do improve, but in 2030, I'm not going to say that it will be zero. I'd like to show you a small video. But the sound doesn't work.
Zoveel belangen en het vraagt natuurlijk geduld en vertrouwen dat elke stap uiteindelijk wel de moeite waard is.
Sustainability, dat is eerder een journey dan een eindpunt.
En uiteindelijk is het belangrijk dat we allemaal samenwerken voor een betere toekomst. De uitdagingen zijn natuurlijk enorm.
Maar als wij het niet doen, wie gaat het wel doen?
Elke bijdrage die kan geleverd worden aan het grotere geheel gaat sowieso meehelpen om het verschil te maken.
So we also published our sustainability journey this week. So if you're curious about all the initiatives that we take, definitely take a look at it. But I think what summarized the video very well is progress beats perfection. We do it together with lots of people. It's a journey. It's not an endpoint. It's a learning process. So, and of course, already one weekend has passed by. So some really tangible examples. So what do we do in terms of waste? Of course, you can see here the reusable cup returns. In the back, for example, you can see beautiful designed calyx bins. But we also try to make the lives of people as easy as possible. We help them with move at the camping site to take all their camping stuff. We give them massages if they bring back their trash, so make it fun and sexy. We make it visible and easy to hand out their plastic waste. So yeah, in general, Love Tomorrow is much more than just the recycling and cleaning and the waste. It's very important, it's very visible, and it's good for the awareness. If you would ask me what's for the future, we really need to focus on the partnerships, the innovation, thinking about new business models together, because I'm quite confident that the quick wins we already implemented, but it's now really, for example, thinking about future of mobility. We will do experiments next year with autonomous vehicles and all these kind of things. We have now the collaboration with PreZero. I hope we will get great results also out of that, of doing in-depth analysis of the waste management. And most important, I hope someday that I can say that Love Tomorrow is really something of everything, and that the department maybe doesn't exist anymore, and that we can only focus on the awareness. So I wanted to end with a picture of all the colleagues, almost 450 colleagues who are also working on making this happen. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you so much, Debbie van Dyck from Tomorrowland. Now, I'm going to welcome every one of you again, because maybe you've missed one of their talks, but we're now going to have a panel discussion with our experts on sustainability and waste management. So all the way to your right, we have Sagitz from PreZero. In the middle, we have Filippo Veglio from UEFA. And then, of course, here we have Debbie, who just showed how they work on sustainability at the festival, Tomorrowland. All right, Debbie, the scale of Tomorrowland, it's been growing and growing. It's enormous.
Yes.
How do you deal with the challenges of waste management on such a large scale?
Yeah, so we have, of course, lots of partners who help us with that. And I'm here now speaking as a lead of sustainability, but we also have a lead recycling and cleaning, of course. And so she operates everything around the operational part of the recycling and cleaning, together with all suppliers, then partners that we have. So it's really thinking together from, okay, how can we improve? And testing a lot, experimenting a lot, making it visible and attractive towards visitors, because that's also one of the biggest challenges in terms of our setting. All the nationalities, it gives big opportunities, but waste, it's totally different in every country. For example, I was speaking to someone of Argentina last weekend, and she said, we don't recycle at all. How does it work? I don't know. So yeah, it's really getting to know each other, and how do they do it, and how can we influence them.
So it's also a bit about intercultural differences in waste management. Interesting. And that interculturality and also the scale of events is something, Filippo, that you can relate with at UEFA. You're trying your best also to anticipate on these challenges with scaling because you have to work together with the clubs. You have several locations where events are hosted. So you have the several competitions. How do you manage that?
I think, okay, it's a long question. We don't have that much time, but I think I would put the focus back on the idea of investment. We have invested over 90 million euros already in sustainability over the last 5 years. And the investment is really at the technical level with, for example, the federations, how to drive a process whereby you have a dedicated person in each federation, you have a dedicated strategy, and then the corresponding actions. And in that order, first the human resource, thereafter the technical sort of framework, and then the actions. So really move away from that sort of ad hoc thinking. At the second level, I would put as a governing body a bit more the boring side, but also the regulations, the rules and regulations for events, the rules and regulations for example, clubs to be able to participate in European competitions. There are now sustainability requirements that you need to fulfill. Of course, an under-17 or an under-19 tournament does not have the same requirements as a Euro, and at a professional level, you're not going to ask the same as at the amateur level, but it's really trying to build into rules, regulation, training programs, academy work that we have, the idea that it's not only conceptual, but very much at the level of also following rules and expectations in that regard. And then last but not least, I would say the element of partnership, and that's where, again, PreZero comes in, but many other stakeholders that we want to engage with and learn from. To give you an idea, the last 4 club competition finals that were played just over 6 or 7 weeks ago, we had over 30 tons of waste that we were able to recover from event materials and signage. So, of course, one can argue, okay, what is 30 tons in a much bigger picture? I think you showed the large pictures in the large figures in Europe. But again, the message goes back to partnerships to play our part. I think the events industry wants to play its part, the football industry wants to play its part, and of course we need then that element of innovation, of knowledge, and of technical expertise that PreZero can bring. So again, I would say investment, the regulatory part, and the partnership element.
All right. Yeah, you talk about all of the regulation, which can be quite challenging, but is also an incentive, of course, to move forward. Have you seen an evolution over the years, and how has this changed your role, and what do you foresee for the future?
A good question. I think we have moved from sustainability as a sort of nice to have, though it's still too often perceived, but I'm happy to hear from the other colleagues, it's too often perceived, oh, you know, it's nice to do at 5 p.m., we'll think about it. We have really tried to move within the industry from a nice to have, also at the level of regulations, into must have, so really making it mandatory. And then you start to remove whether you believe in it or not, or who is buying into it or not, even across cultures. Of course, we have vast differences. UEFA covers the territory from, very much the north of Europe all the way to south, east, and west. You can imagine the diversity, not only of cultures, but also perhaps of awareness around these topics and of sophistication of some systems. It's also linked to resources overall. But it's really trying to move away the debate from a philosophical should be or should be not into this is expected, and therefore we're going to support you along the way as part of that expectation.
Okay. It's not always an easy story because, of course, Debbie, Filippo, the two of you are huge believers in sustainability, but for some companies, the word sustainability in itself also causes friction. And Marcus, on a day-to-day basis, you support companies in managing their sustainability, their waste. What friction points do you come across with companies when they say they do not want to invest in sustainability, and how can we overcome this in the future?
Oh, there's so many levels on that. But I think the first one is, I think it's a bit of perspective or the power of words, because you can say, you already said, and Filippo already did that as well, talking about investment. But it's not costs. So I think there's a huge kind of mindset switch in that, because if you see it as an investment, it helps you in the future to maintain. And so if you just see that, because every infrastructural idea, and if you put things as an integral part of your business model, that really needs to be very open to that, and that needs that you have to invest, because otherwise you will do the same things that you did before. And to understand that and all the things that we had with the Strait of Hormuz and all the scarcity in regards of supply chains and everything that we have seen, though that really helps because that creates pressure. But it's always because then it's not just sustainability, because it's the ability to sustain. So then we are just talking about the things in regards of regulatories that will come, that will create more pressure and pressure, and then everything that when you act, it's less expensive than reacting, and that's always a fact.
Yeah, I like the way that you talk about an investment, because with an investment you also have a return on investment. Can you give some examples maybe of trajectories that you did with organizations, maybe also with Filippo, where you could really show what the impact is of such an investment?
That depends on that, but because the impact could be the reducing of the CO2 footprint, and if the CO2 price will come up, and that, I don't know how hard this currency will be in the future, but there will come some idea of this currency, and that really is a financial metric in that. And when we are coming into state at a festival ground or in a football stadium, we help to reduce the waste as well. And the residual waste is mostly the most expensive waste stream, and if you reduce this kind of waste, you reduce the disposal costs. And so this is always the things, because then you're not just talking about helping the bees, and for sure we will do that, but we need to put economic factors on that, and this really helps.
Now, Tomorrowland is also known for extraordinary experiences, and of course also that counts for sustainability and for moving people towards acting more sustainable at the festival grounds itself. So Debbie, what would you say is one of the things that you did, one of the experiences you added that also had the most impact, and what made it special?
Yeah, so it's twofold, because often it's challenging in terms of sustainability, and especially of a festival, because lots of things that we do, you don't see it. So it's the biggest impact, often you don't see it. As I just told you about, for example, the grid system, all these things, it's not feasible, but it has a huge impact. But for example, in terms of waste, we just make it as easy as possible for people. So you can see here, front stage, there you have the calic bins, it's just food, drinks, general waste. So normally every country, every culture knows what food is, knows what drinks are, and knows what general waste. Sometimes it's difficult, but then when they adopt, it's general waste, so that helps. So just make it as easy as possible, that's one thing. Backstage we have 15 waste flows, so we are never going to ask people to choose between 15 bins. And then of course it's making decisions in what you offer of the material. So for example, for the food bin, we really, I think we made the switch 2-3 years ago towards our 100% wheat plate. So you will also, if you eat something, and I encourage you to eat something to get all the motivation for this day, you will see that we have like the wheat plates, and it makes it possible to throw everything together into the green waste. We got it sorted out backstage to avoid the contamination. We had a long search of an industrial supplier who would like to work together with us, and we make like the green energy out of it. Of course, in a perfect situation, we want to make it compostable, but legislation makes it not possible. So that's one thing, making it as easy as possible. And then on the other part, it's really activations. So we do a lot on the Dreamville side, because of course, people are there, they can take lots of stuff with them. There we have less control in what they bring on type of materials. Here at the festival, it's more of a controlled environment, and there, as I showed you, we make it fun, massage together with performers. We have 500 plus crew of recycle volunteers who help us with that. So making it big and making it fun always helps.
I would definitely go for the massage.
Yes,
when I'm recycling.
It's open today.
It's open today?
Yeah,
okay.
but tomorrow until 3, so you need to go there.
I thought Marcus was making a joke before a massage, but actually it's
a massage from Debbie herself.
Wow, no, so that I don't do.
All right, but anything to get those incentives going.
Yeah, exactly.
But you talk about this, about making it convenient for everyone visiting the festival grounds, and you make it sound very simple.
Yeah.
And of course, the food and beverage plates is a success story. But there are many challenges, amongst which the contamination that you already talked about. How did you tackle that specific issue?
Yeah, so it's also what I told, so making it as easy as possible, but of course, and we also see like the behavior of people, it changes. After 8 p.m. you get drunk. We need to be honest about it. Most people get drunk, they don't care anymore. So it's really fun, okay, yeah, making it as easy as possible, dummy-proof. But then also, for example, for the plates, the example, we really had a backstage crew who was sorting out the waste and looking into, okay, what's the contamination degree, how can we improve, what gets into the waste. So yeah, it's really getting dedicated teams backstage and controlling it, evaluating it, and then yeah, shifting it every year again. So there happens a lot backstage.
A lot happening backstage, but the trick is to make it as convenient as possible and as simple for people who are using it. And that's something, Marcus, that you also know from working with companies and implementing waste management and circularity initiatives, that convenience is important. Can you share an example with our audience of a case where convenience really impacted the adaptability of a solution?
Convenience, especially because we started in 2019 as a company, and we started with a huge partnership in the German Football Bundesliga, and this was a kind of real laboratory for us to prove and to stress test all of our concepts. And I can just underline and highlight the things that Debbie was mentioning, because the convenience, because you do not have to raise your finger. You do not want to lose any % of experience and fun over there, even after the thick spear. And so the best system only works if no one sees that there's a system behind. And so especially in the football stadiums, where we created a zero waste certification just to have an independent idea and an independent framework of how this works, because every time when you talk about sustainability, you look at who's the most sustainable football club, and you find different results on Google, because everybody understands a little bit different of the topic of sustainability. And so especially the convenient part and the teaching part, so just put a lot of signage on that so that everybody understands how he or she has to react, and I think that's really key.
Okay, education is an important part. Yeah. And if you could change one thing, Marcus, about how organizations approach waste management today, what would that be?
I don't want to be boring, but I think the topic of this mindset switch, so the idea of understanding that waste should be the resource for the future. We are we are the European largest battery recycler in Europe, and we have the hand on the critical raw materials that we definitely need in Europe, because we do only have 1% of lithium in Europe coming from the ground. So I think the most critical thing is the mindset switch, to understand that this is really a depot for our economic survival, especially in the sandwich position of Europe between Asia and the US.
Okay. And then maybe to finish up our debate here on waste management and sustainability, how can people get in touch with you, whether they're companies or individuals that maybe want to collaborate or learn more about what you're doing? Debbie?
You can just pass by here, or you can contact us through Love Tomorrow. It will definitely reach me. So yeah, always feel free to contact us, and we're very open. We're always on the lookout for new collaborations. So yes, if you have good ideas, very open to it.
All right, and Filippo, for you, if people want to collaborate with
simple
UEFA?
email address, sustainability@uefa.ch. We're also available on the social media platforms like LinkedIn, etc. But more generally, always an open door to ideas, to challenges also. I think it's good to get critical questions sometimes and deal with it. 10 seconds only, but on Euro, the last Euro in Germany, men's Euro, we face some challenges at the level of waste management, in particular food waste, and we're trying to learn now for 28 in the UK and Ireland. So we're always happy to be challenged and to engage in that dialogue.
And you're staying in Belgium for a couple more days?
Staying today.
Okay, today still. Okay, so if you want a real-life conversation,
yes, absolutely,
try to connect with Filippo today. And then Marcus, of course, I think it's the most relevant for all the company owners here. If they want to get help from PreZero to implement a sustainability campaign, how can they reach out?
I think LinkedIn would be the best one, or today for sure. But I'm going to see the festival tomorrow, so I leave at Saturday, so I will be here.
So you're going to party a little bit.
I hope so, yeah.
In a sustainable way, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, Marcus Sagitz from PreZero, Filippo Veglio from UEFA, and Debbie van Dyck from Tomorrowland.
Thank you, Nathalie.
Thank you.